Hello, everyone. It's the hardcore legend Mick Foley wishing a nice day to everyone there, right there at True Heel Heat. Yeah.
Oye, te habla tío Sabio Vega. This is Sabio Vega and you watching True Heel Hit a mi manera o para la calle.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Heel Heat. And I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our Dark Side of the Ring Season 5, Episode 3, Terry Gordy, the final flight of the Freebird, discussing the latest episode from Dark Side of the Ring Season 5. Chris, and I am joined by the princess of all the true heels, Miss Krssi Love. How are
What's
you
going
doing?
on, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. What's up? I'm good. How are you, SP?
I'm somber after this
Yeah, I'm
episode
sad.
of,
Yeah,
of
it
Dark
was a
Side
sad
of the
one.
Ring. We at least last week we got to mix up. Like, I think if we did just a earthquake episode, we would have been sad and somber with that
Right.
episode. But because we had the mixture of Buff Bagwell, that was a palate cleanser. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Maybe because of how this season is looking, we need to do 2 weeks at a time, because next week is
I
Brutus
think,
Beefcake.
yeah, I think we should need to do like high and low because I think Sherry is gonna make us sad.
Damn.
Because I think that's the one afterwards, right?
Yeah, I might have to, like, after next, we'll do next week's show, because we wouldn't do solo episodes for the people that like to just watch one of our videos, not all of our videos,
Got
to
it.
watch
Okay.
all of them. So we'll do it next week, and then we'll look at the rest of the season. Because if Sherry is followed by a more fun and lighter episode, maybe we need to do back to back, because
Okay.
I was very sad watching this story of Terry Gordy. Terry Gordy, the final flight of the Freebird. We're going to discuss it here. We appreciate y'all for joining us. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, if you're watching us on our Facebook or our Twitter, we appreciate y'all. Show that appreciation back the simplest way possible. If you're watching us on YouTube, drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the live chat if you watched last night's episode and you want to give your thoughts of what you thought about the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Sound off in the live chat. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you can send a super chat donation donation. Any dollar amount matters, and we will show our support and give you our thoughts on what you have to say about this very, very, very sad episode of Dark Side of the Ring. But Krssi Love, as always, as we start off, kind of what was your knowledge of the story of Terry Gordy going into this episode here?
Well, I didn't know him individual. I just knew him a part of like being a part of the fabulous Freebirds. So I didn't know like anything like afterwards or like him like being in Japan with Bruce Brody and everybody like that. I didn't know anything like of all that information. I just remember him a part of being the Freebirds.
Yeah, I was introduced to him, I believe, during his ECW days, and then that made me kind of like, as a very kid who was always interested in wrestling, and if a guy would wrestle somewhere else, I wanted to see him somewhere else. So that's when I discovered that he was a part of the Freebirds and his times in like the early '90s in WCW. Their stints throughout the NWA and the different territories, their rivalry with the Von Erich. So I knew a lot of that stuff going into this episode, but I definitely learned more. And I knew that even of his run in WWE in the 90s, which we will discuss during this episode here. I did not know about the backstage stuff with his run in WWE in the 90s, though. That's one thing I did not know.
I guess they kept it under wraps for a reason.
For good reason. Hey, he had people that protect him and didn't want to tell his story. We got a couple of folks in the live chat who are not even talking about Dark Side of the Ring. They're talking about X-Men 97. Don't worry, guys. Got the channel over there, True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment. You can subscribe over there. I'm going to talk about it. I just finished the premiere episode, and it's fantastic. And we will not have any slander of Cyclops. Cyclops is the leader. He is filling the shoes of Charles Xavier. We will not have any Cyclops slander. We got Vala B, who says he enjoyed the first episodes of X-Men 97. He says, yeah, but I liked Cyclops' fighting style where he was dodging with his beams. Yes. I love that this has turned into X-Men 97 live chat. Go off. Send a super chat donation and we'll talk about it. Yes. Krssi Love, we started off this episode of Dark Side of the Ring where we met Terry Gordy's daughter, Miranda Gordy, who is also a professional wrestler herself. We see her working some independent shows. She notes people expect her to be great as her dad was, but that's not always the case. She says that they are enormous boots to fill. Then we meet his son. His son, who had a great run, in my opinion, in WWE, Ray Gordy. And he talks about his previous stints as a professional wrestler, where he worked in WWE as Jesse, as well as Slam Master Jay.
I don't remember that part. I don't remember him being those characters.
Jesse and Festus were like country boys, and Festus was a little bit slow, but whenever the bell rang, he would go crazy.
He would stick his tongue. I remember him had.
Yeah, he would come to the ring like narcoleptic and on drugs.
I do remember that.
When the bell rang, he would become this raving animal, and he would destroy everybody in front of him until CM Punk showed him the light of the straight edge society, and he cured him, and he became Luke Gallows. Yeah. I love the shock on her face.
Wait, what? No, okay, so now I got to go back and watch the whole episode over because they showed that, but I didn't put two and two. No way! I can't be that loud because I'm at work. What? Shut up.
We got he was partners with the former Luke Gallows before he became a tag team expert, as we would see years later with Carl Anderson with the Good Brothers and the OC. But then we talk about
club and everything. Wow, I didn't know that. OMG. Okay, sorry. Go.
Ray Gordy talks about how he didn't use his father's name in WWE because he didn't feel he could live up to it. His dad told him that once you learn how the business works, you will never want to do anything else. Terry was born in Georgia and was barely a teenager when he started in professional wrestling. His children go through old photos of him and report cards. He was about they talked about him having to be only about 14 years old when he started wrestling, and we see his report cards when he was going to school and wrestling, and it was nothing but F's. Ray notes that the days his dad was marked absent was because he was on the road. We get some videos of a 14-year-old Terry wrestling on TV. And then we have everyone's favorite racist uncle, Jim Cornette, is here.
Damn. It is so sad because you want to love him, but you can't.
I was like, I want to love you, but you say some really fucked up shit. Some really racist, homophobic shit. Just saying.
Yeah, because he knows so much shit about wrestling. Like, he's just like this whole but he's just
And before the Cornette army attacks me, I'm not talking about black people, him being racist towards. I'm talking about him just being racist in general, and
just
a lot of that time towards Japanese people. But yeah. But yes, Jim Cornette talks about how he first met Terry when he was only 16 years old, and he had already been a professional wrestler for a few years. Cornette says Terry was a prodigy and a natural. Mick Foley backs up this idea, and always when Mick Foley's on one of these, I feel like he adds so much. He feels like the narrator. He becomes narrator over Chris Jericho for me.
He should be. I think he should be. Yeah, we love Mick Foley. He's the uncle that you always wanted to be around.
Mick Foley backs up the idea that Terry was a prodigy in professional wrestling, but he also worked very hard to get even better. What Terry lacked in traditional schooling, he picked up an education on the road. Cornette says that Terry was an all-around performer and very few can touch him in the ring. Terry meets Michael P.S. Hayes in Mississippi, and Cornette mentions if you hand Michael a microphone, he could talk forever. We got Jimmy. Yeah, absolutely. They Triple H and Stephanie always tell the story about their wedding reception where he went off. Jimmy Garvin says that his mama must have had a really hard time with Michael. Jimmy is a member of the Freebirds and a WWE Hall of Famer. Michael would talk and piss people off, but he knew he had Terry Gordy in his corner. They had a natural chemistry together and were soulmates as far as friends go. Cornette says that Michael, like most Southerners, was a fan of Leonard Skinner and pitched the idea of calling their team the Freebirds. And thus, the fabulous Freebirds are born. They played the song Freebirds, and Cornette notes that he talks about them using the song for the first time and how it was different from anything else at that time, as using music wasn't a common thing. What do you think about the Freebirds really being the kind of the trendsetter as far as music, bringing the wrestlers down to the ring, and how much that added to the whole presentation of the business?
It adds a lot because your music is hit or miss. It shows it's the first thing they hear before they see you. So it has to be something really good. And for them to be like the trendsetters of that is really, really big. Because he said because I remember him saying no one really came out to music. And I was like, yeah, you're right. They were very silent. People just came out, and then they came out. And then he said they came out with theatrics. They had on these capes and these robes, and they just came out looking like rock star money. I was like, what? Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yes. It just brought it all together, and then you had the Bad Street USA, which was their signature theme song that a lot of people remember them for. The Freebirds were and they even talk about it during this whole documentary. They were the original cool heels. They were the heels that were doing dastardly things, but they had all the girls. They would party all the time. They were all rock and roll at a time that it was on the rise in America. They were the cool heels that the fans, despite them doing bad things to the guys like the Von Erichs or the different baby faces around the different territories, they started to get cheers and started to get their own fans along the way. We got here in the chat, we got Vala B saying biscuits and gravy. Yes, you need to listen to the theme song. Jesse and Festus theme song is called Biscuits and Gravy.
Okay.
Excellent theme song. Yes,
You said
and
take
also, do you remember Fake Kane from 2006?
yes.
When Kane did the May 19th thing and started feuding with a fake Kane, that was also Luke Gallows.
You know what? Wow. Luke Gallows he's a jack of all trades, just many characters, huh? Just find out a lot of things.
He's been a few characters. He's been Doc Gallows, Luke Gallows, the fake Kane. He was Festus. Yep, few things.
I'm gonna go find him now. Yep. I'm gonna go look it up.
We got Vala B and Joyce Delaney, who says that Miracle Violence Connection is the greatest tag team ever. Vala B says one of the best tag team names of all time, too. We got here in the chat, we also got Romeo saying, producer, take down the logo. Who is Terry Gord? Oh my God, it's a background picture. They saw the thumbnail already, sir. Relax. Jesus.
I guess put True Hill at the bottom of our faces, then I don't know.
No, you can't move the logo. This is what it is. We got Drugs the Lady who says Luke Gallows is a great brother. And we also got Trey Jones who says, like, what if Cody came to no music at WrestleMania? If he came out to no music, people would legitimately
sing
his song. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Chris Jericho, they would just sing the song regardless. Yeah.
Adrenaline in my soul. Y'all better work on the lyrics before WrestleMania.
They definitely should do that one day. Like, oh, there's a glitch, and then people just be instrumental.
Absolutely. Oh yes, heel Ciampa coming out to no music at Takeover in New Orleans. That was an experience. So all the boos when he was the most hated man in professional wrestling after turning on Johnny Gargano. That was magic. One of the greatest heels in WWE history, in my eyes. Ciampa at that time. But
he was Ciampa, yep.
Back to Terry Gordy here. So the Freebirds are born. They start coming out to the music, and basically they're going around and they're establishing themselves as heels. And Cornette talks about the first time that he heard the music and how different it was. Buddy Roberts eventually joins the group, and instead of them being this great tag team, they're going to be a trio, and thus this 3-man combination works perfectly. Foley says that together they were bigger than the sum of their parts and got over everywhere they went. They went to the World Class Championship Wrestling, and we talk about their legendary rivalry with the Von Erichs. Kevin Von Erich is here, and I'm always glad to see Kevin Von Erich. One of our all-time favorite. After Dark Side of the Ring made him cry during his episode, I always like to see him talking about the good times. He knows that they wanted badasses in WCCW, and the Birds were tough. It was a marriage made in heaven. David Manning, promoter, booker, and referee in WCCW, says the promotion caught fire in the 80s when the Birds and the Von Erichs went to war. It started a state war between Texas and Georgia, according to the Birds, but the Von Erichs preached that it was not that. It was good versus evil. It was class versus filth. I like that they played the promo with Kevin saying that. The Von Erichs preached that, and Ray notes that he didn't want his dad to get beat up, but he was a fan of the Von Erichs, so he was very conflicted as a kid watching this. Cornette says that the Birds started to get their own fans, and Foley says they were the original cool heels. They ran the feud all over the South and made all kinds of money, and they had the big 6-man tag team matchup headline in Texas Stadium, sold out, and the money continued to flow for 2 years as they battled each other. And the Birds they talked about also the Birds drinking all the time after the shows, and they would sweat the booze out in the ring. They said they told Ray that the perfect cure for a hangover was beating somebody up. They would tell people they would tell people that, and they love professional wrestling. Miranda said, talked about a bar fight where Terry went crazy because a guy was hitting on his wife, and the police. Police only made matters worse as Terry dented Terry dented the hood of the cop car with his head, trying to keep from being cuffed. And Ray notes, looking back on it from today's standards, it was out of control nearly every night. He isn't sure when it went from marijuana and booze to a pill problem, and that's how we went to our first commercial. They were hitting us with those commercial breaks, yo.
Yeah, yeah.
With the pin drops.
Yep. Just leaving us in suspense, like, what? And we have to wait. Yep. So
what do you think about the whole documenting of the whole big Freebird and Von Erich rivalry? I know a lot of people have gotten more interest in the rivalry ever since the Iron Claw came out, which really didn't show enough, in my opinion, when it came to the Freebirds and the Von Erichs going at each other the way they did at that time.
yeah, they only touched on it maybe like briefly. But it's a pinnacle part of their careers. Like it did a lot for them, and it made them a lot of money because they were like they were struggling with their territory down there.
Yeah, and they caught fire with they needed you need the big heel to go against the homegrown babyface boys, and that just worked like fire in the 80s, and it made Texas and World Class Championship Wrestling a very hot territory.
Right.
In 1984, the Birds head to the WWF, and we won't waste too much time on this one. Cornette asks if it even lasted a week. Jimmy says that Terry was hung over and fell asleep. That didn't go over well with Vince McMahon.
You think? Would anyone want to take anyone that's like drunk or sleep in their meeting?
No, that's not the guys we want. I mean, he took the Rockers a few years later, though. Just saying.
That's true. Very true. You're right. Okay, never mind.
They flamed out quickly, though, in WWF. We get some footage that they show. I believe this was a show on the network as the Birds was on a WWF card. Terry Gordy went over to Japan and became the next monster American, like Bruiser Brody, like Abdullah the Butcher, Stan Henson. Terry loved the hard physical style in Japan and became one of the biggest stars to ever work there. They discussed the toll that it takes on the body doing that Japanese style out there. And Ray knew that his dad was having knee issues. And Cornette notes that Terry tore both of his ACLs. Gordy had double knee surgery and was told to lose weight. So he contacted Richard Simmons.
The laughter or scream that came out of my mouth when I heard Richard Simmons, I was like, no, I'm dying. Any professional, but I guess back then in the 80s, that was the only like fitness person that was like showing and had videos, and it was like giving people actual goals. So like his daughter said, can you imagine him saying, come on, let's go, let's jazzercise it. Hey,
get on those toes, Terry. Go ahead, Terry. You can do it, Terry.
But he did it.
He did. Yo, when they showed the after, I was like, God damn, he slimmed the hell up. He was moving faster. He slimmed down to 265. His daughter says that when you see the skinnier Gordy, you can blame Richard Simmons. And Richard Simmons, I'm convinced, jazzercising. I'm going to jazzercise. I'm going to work out my dad bod by doing old school Richard Simmons videos that I find on YouTube, and I'm gonna document the results. That's what I'm gonna do.
You should do it.
This whole episode inspired me in some way. It didn't just make me cry and sad. It inspired me.
He looked phenomenal. Like he was moving much faster. He looked more lean. I was like, look at Richard doing things for the people. Like
the GOAT.
For Terry, for GOAT.
The GOAT of jazzercising. We talk about how his in-ring work even improved with the loss of the weight, and they document his greatest match of his career with Masawa. With Ray Gordy says that it is one of the top 5 matches of all time. He puts over the little things that his dad did during that match that don't get noticed, like they are focused on all the power moves. Mick says that Terry made everything he did mean something, and Ray talks about how when Misawa has him in the chin lock and his dad is trying to pry out the fingers. And just from the highlights, the physicality of this matchup, you know that it took years off of both men's life. And you know, these are two men that basically lost their lives because of professional wrestling, with Misawa, who lost his life in the ring off of an errant suplex when he was like in his 60s.
Yeah. So it's a lot to take in as you saw this, and you was like, damn, like these people put their lives on the line to entertain us, and this is, you know, the aftermath of everything.
They put over how great his punches looked, especially Foley. Foley loves Terry Gordy's punches. Like he was jacking off to it this entire episode. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Make a nice little punch. Because the Jeff Jarrett punches gets me a little bit hard. Makes me want to haul up the wife. He says that he was the first American to win the Triple Crown Championship. Also in Japan, he formed a team with Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and the two men would become powerhouses. As we said earlier in the chat, you had people calling them one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Miracle Violence Connection. This is a tag team that really swept Japan and really became one of the best tag teams in the world. Cornette says if aliens invaded the Earth, you would pick Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Gordy to represent Earth in a fight to the death. He says, "Well, not if Bar Gunn is an alien. Bar Gunn beat Dr. Death in a boxing match."
So I mean,
we saw that.
We saw that.
About that episode.
Yeah, that we don't need to relive that one, friend. It's okay.
Jimmy Garvin was added to the Freebirds to cover for when Terry was in Japan. So that's how we got the 4 members of the fabulous Freebirds. Yes. When not in Japan, he was back in the USA with the Birds, and his kids felt the schedule was way too much. Miranda says that life was good for some time, and Terry tried to do everything he could to be with the kids, but there just wasn't enough time. We also meet his nephew, Richard Slinger, in Japan, and he talks about how Terry hated being away from his kids and that he would get into a deep depression while in Japan as he missed his wife, his kids, and his mom. It sucked being on the road 360 days a year. 360?
Oh my God. And mind you, he's probably like really young at this. Like he's like... Because he started when he was 14. So can you imagine? Yep. These are like his 20s and 30s.
Oh man, we got Richard says that your mind never has time to reset and relax. Cornette brings up the pills to help you sleep when you switch from time zone to time zone.
Yeah, and Mick Foley even touched on it briefly. He was like, we didn't know. We were just trying to get to the next show and just trying to get some sleep or whatever and just be ready to go or whatever. Now that he knows, it's not a good thing, but that's what they did back then.
Foley says it's a short step from use as needed to use as liked.
Yeah.
Terry suffers an overdose on hallucinogens while in Japan with Steve. They did CPR and took him to the hospital. Once awake, Doc had to fill in the gaps for him about what happened. He tried to help Terry get clean. Terry is heading back from Japan, and Doc told we see an old interview of Dr. Death Steve Williams talking about the flight, and he says that he had to push Terry in a wheelchair onto the plane, and because he had so many pills in his system, they are 30 minutes from landing and he's dying on me. And pretty much what we talked about him with his in-ring career and the great Terry Gordy, this flight, it's all gone. It's all gone after
and
that.
they warned us at the commercial, this is the flight that he never came back from.
He was back in physical form, but
right.
He was never truly all there ever again.
Nope.
So Terry had stopped breathing during the flight and was on the verge of swallowing his tongue. Doc Dr. Death says that he was able to usually slap him hard enough to wake him out of
Yeah.
it, but
Hmm.
this time it didn't happen. Doc started CPR to keep his heart going until he could get him off the plane into an ambulance. Terry was in a coma for a couple of days. Richard was there by his side, and Terry was able to wake and needed help to get in the shower. He was very quiet and couldn't carry on much of a conversation. He had lost a lot of his motor skills and had to relearn a lot of things, and there was some permanent mental and physical damage. I think
Yeah.
Cornette's the only one that kind of tried to explain it, saying that
Yeah.
basically the air pressure from the flight mixed with the pills and him coming so soon after his first overdose, it all got to him. It all went to his brain and erased
Hmm.
something in his brain.
Yeah. So like left gaps and like left him like kind of like delayed and slowed, like he didn't have his motor skills like a regular person would.
Yeah.
And he,
It was so sad. I was just like, my jaw was on it. I was like, oh no.
yeah, same. And I was like, thank God. Well, another way where he just explained it because everyone else really couldn't is like, how did that affect him so badly? Like you was just on a plane and you took these pills like I guess to go to sleep or whatever, but you took probably too many
Yeah.
and it messed him up where he never got to be his usual or regular self.
So a local promoter gave them a key to a gym, and Richard says that a couple of weeks after him getting out the hospital, he was helping Terry train, and he says that it all turned around, how Terry helped him train to become a wrestler, and now he was helping Terry. They were all hopeful that he would kick out and just be Terry Gordy again.
Mm-hmm.
Cornette had heard that Terry was working independent shows and thought that if he was anything close to what he was before, it would be amazing to have him in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They brought Terry in and he wasn't the same,
Mm-mm.
obviously. Like
Nope.
it's just the look in the eyes, the way he's moving. You can see it from the clips that they show. You can see it from different pictures, and they talk about it how he just looks lost in the eyes. And I got this picture here because it was this one that
Yeah,
was,
he looked dazed, like he's not even looking at the camera. He's looking somewhere. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that one. You felt that one right there. Yep.
It's tough to see that. So they talk about how he couldn't do a promo anymore. They all kept thinking that he would come back. It would come back to him. Jim mentions that Terry would just be standing around, and Jim would ask him if he needed something, and he said, "Jim, I was just wondering if you would want me to do the power bomb." And Terry had the same frame and could do the moves, but it was going through the motions with no life. This honestly like hit me in the soul. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, it definitely was like for him, like for Jim to like react like how he would speak, and then they would show the video to like show it, and like, like it hurt, like it just like he's there, but he's not there, like
Yeah.
body wise, but head mentally he's not there.
What made him a personality and a star was gone. But then there's a glimmer of hope. We go to IWA King of the Death match. Terry Gordy is facing Cactus Jack in the first round. Mick says that Terry's punches were no longer there, so Mick told him out of respect he needed to bring the punches legit. Mick says that to his credit, Terry didn't have to be told twice. Mick says that they did pretty good, and Terry delivered his greatest post-accident promo, and they turned back the hands of time for that show.
Yeah,
There was a thought that they had figured things out, but it just wasn't meant to be. And that's how we went to commercial again. I was like, God damn. I was like, you give us this glimmer of hope and then tell us it's not meant to be. God
yeah,
damn it. And even Ray Gordy talks about how some people used to tell him his dad was the king of the death match, and that
mm-hmm.
came after the accident. So what do you think about Foley bringing out something out of Terry Gordy post accident?
I definitely something that will Mick. I think Mick does that to people. He brings something out of them, and they just like perform their asses off. I feel like, but yeah, it just like gives you that glimmer of hope. Like maybe he's there, and then they give you the commercial, and you're like, okay, great, damn. But yeah, I think it's just the it shows you who the person of Mick Foley is. He just like does that for everybody. I feel like.
Yeah, he's just a giver. He's just
Yeah,
always looking to help the other person that he's in the ring with to have the best performance possible because he cares so much about the fans. And we'll talk about if Foley just has a good heart, and we'll
he
talk
does.
about his good heart in this episode here as well. But yeah, that's what I got, and it was nice that this wasn't the end of Gordy and Foley working with one another in
Correct.
this
Yeah.
episode here. But we got a couple of comments here that I wanted to highlight from the folks. Keep on coming with those comments as well as with those super chat donations, guys. Any dollar amount matters, and we will highlight your comment on screen with us here. I'm just having trouble because my computer wants to give the little rainbow thing when I clicked on anything. I knew it was
I
coming.
didn't
I
want
was
to
like,
click on
yeah, if
it.
you can click on it, if you will, click on any of the new comments that we got here, anything you want to
Okay,
highlight.
sure.
Oh, oh, did it freeze you too? Or no, I'm
No,
frozen
okay.
now.
No, you're okay. No, I think you're good on my end though.
Oh,
But it
okay.
says caught off guard with the Richard Simmons segment. Imagine Terry Gordy and Richard Simmons together.
Yo, I want to see the
I want
actual
to see
video.
it. Yes, I need to
We
see
need
it.
the security footage.
Can we find the first meeting for them? He's like, okay, Terry, tell me what you want to do. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut out all this junk. Remember, he would go to people's houses and take all the junk food out the house.
Oh yeah, that is
He
true.
would go to
Like,
everyone's houses.
is it like one of those like reality television shows where they do like weight loss and stuff? But it's in the 90s, so
It's in
it's
the
like
90s. It got to
with
be
tape
some kind of film.
recorders
Yeah. I don't know. Like it got to be something like where because I could just imagine him just going to the house and taking all the junk food and all the alcohol out of his house.
and just like exercising. They're on
Yeah.
their toes. He was like,
Mhm.
Terry, you got to do this. We're gonna get you in the best shape possible. We got Drugs Delaney who says hallucinins is one of the worst medical inventions ever.
Yeah, sad, sad. Let's see.
And we do have we have Drugs Delaney who says I had to turn this off at this point after the coma, man, that ruined my childhood idol. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I understand, man, but
Yeah. Super chat, yay!
we do got a super Chisholm donation from our boy Will Chisholm. Thank you so much, Will. He says Jim Cornette is your uncle friend who that you think is funny, but then you find out he's crazy and maybe racist. LOL. Oh man, I mean, I think every black person has like that one uncle that hangs out with white people and got that one white friend who's old, and no one likes to hang out with their family and stuff like that. No one else in the family. We never seen anyone from his family. Like, yeah, he's that uncle friend.
Good one, Will. That is a good analysis.
He got all the best jokes on black people. But but it's okay to you because you've known him since you were a kid. But then when you get older, you're like, damn, that was mad racist what he said.
Yeah.
Thank you, Will. We appreciate the super Chisholm donation here. We also got Goku in the chat. He says caught off guard with the Richard Simmons segment. Imagine Terry Gordy and Richard Simmons together. Yes.
Yeah.
We also got Vala B who says, yeah, I remember that story. Johnny Ace was telling people to read Dr. Def's book. So yeah, a lot of good comments there. Keep those comments coming. Keep the super Chisholms coming. The super chat donations. We talk about how the Terry Gordy is basically given a new lease on life through the King of the Death match. Miranda says that Terry continued to wrestle after the accident because that's all he knew how to do.
Yeah.
After King of the Death match, we see him pop up in ECW again, and again the idea was that maybe it would come back to him. His daughter mentions that he had so much life in his eyes before the accident, but then after, it was gone. In 1998, Terry Gordy agrees to do a shoot interview, and fans can see the change 100% there. You can see it written all over his face. And Miranda talks about how the interview angered her when she first saw it. She said, and that had to be rough when you're just a child, especially.
And for them to I don't think that they were they were just trying to talk to him and get a light of him and his career now. I don't think they really knew the stage or how far out like he was.
Yeah. And he agreed to do the interview. So, maybe he didn't have the right people around him because he wasn't in any condition to do that type of interview. And Miranda talks about the interviewer just kept hounding him with questions, and it pissed her off as she just wanted them to leave him alone.
Yeah.
We jump back a few years as Michael Hayes helps Terry get a job in WWF. They put Terry under a hood as the executioner, and Miranda says that she was glad that they put him under a hood as it was a sign of respect. Ray Gordy even told he's like, yeah, they didn't want to put the bad name and a bad reputation for the Terry Gordy who was a legend, so that's why they put him under a map so he could still make money but not ruin his reputation.
Correct. Which was I'm Vince McMahon does had a heart or whatever, like.
But I guess I don't know.
I mean, for an extent, for a purpose, for a reason. Only in that case, but but yeah, when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I remember that, and I didn't know that was who that was. But I'm happy that they protected him and like not let everyone know who that was.
And I like the fact that they noted that the kids were happy with the respect WWF showed their father, and I'm sure Hayes was trying to help a friend get some money with a new job. So that's a big thumbs up to Michael Hayes as well. We see the executioner blast Taker with a shovel to help Mankind in the Buried Alive matchup back in 1996. We also see Mick says that part of Terry's charm was that he was a man-child and still a man's man. He wasn't that anymore in WWE, and that don't work in a main event feud with the Undertaker, brother. His nephew notes how sad it was, and Miranda says it was heartbreaking to watch. Cornette says Taker made the call that this wasn't going to work. They all loved Terry, but he just wasn't there anymore.
No, but you can't perform with a partner like that in the ring. Like you have to have someone that's can't be doing everything. So.
And that's fine. And that's fine. You didn't work in a main event program. They could just pull you down the card and find for you. Oh, no. Let's talk about what Mick Foley said next. Mick Foley mentions a story of Terry Gordy talking to a woman on a plane and asking her if she had some extras. Basically, the woman was taking a pill to help her sleep, and Terry Gordy wanted her to give him some of her extra pills. While he's a WWF superstar.
Right. And Mick tells you like his stories of him and Paul trying to go find him and do things, and he's there, but he's not there, but he's kind of there because he's asking for pills.
Mick says he was at a point where he was taking anything, no matter if he knew what it was or not. He would go from coherent to under the influence within minutes at a time. Mick says that this is all hard for him to say as he looked up to Terry, and he showed him great kindness when he was breaking into the business. But he says they would have to track Terry down when they couldn't find him in his hotel, and he and Paul Bearer knew this wasn't going to be a long-term thing.
Yep, sad. Oh, really sad. It's like Terry, it's getting worse.
Yeah, like yo, it's like damn. I thought like they kept bringing us with like false sense of hope.
Yep.
That's the death match. No, he's still not back. Then WWF run. Oh, he fucked that up. It's like we're going back and forth. We're going back and forth.
Yep, for sure.
Jesus Christ, it's ridiculous. Terry's run in the WWF comes to an end, and he is back on the independent scene in Tennessee and Georgia. Miranda was at those shows and says that it was sad. Mick saw Terry at a show, and nobody was going into the ring after the show to get Terry's photograph or his autograph. And Mick says that he saw his daughter taking the pictures in the ring, and he was like, he had like two people, and how long they were standing there with nobody coming in. It made him very sad, and he's there at the table signing all these autographs, and it made him feel guilty. He wanted to yell at the fans and said that there was a legend in the ring, someone that they should be wanting to take their photo with, and they needed to meet him, but times had changed. This is why I was like, yo, Foley, you got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
You got you can't feel guilty, man.
Mm-hmm.
Can't feel guilty, man. This is like,
no, you didn't do nothing.
you tried your best. You tried to make things work in WWF. Sad. But this had to be either like 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
When this occurred, if anybody was wondering. We got Goku, who says the premiere in this episode was just sad and really depressing. The Bagwell episode was just what the fuck, but very entertaining. That was the best. That's one of the
top ones. Yeah.
Goku, go back and watch our season 5 episodes 1 and 2 review. We said, we was like, that's an all-timer episode. All-timer episode.
And he's there to tell his own story too, so it's even better.
Yeah, we got Power Driver Finisher says, but he's witnessing the whole thing. It gotta pull at his heartstrings. Yeah, for Foley.
Yeah, that's what it was.
To see everything. Yeah, it's got to be like, damn, like I'm gonna feel fuked up. I'm over here signing autographs. These people should be 1 or 2 of them at least. I got a whole fucking line. Terry redirects his focus and his home more. Ray says that he got to see his dad more than he ever got to see him in his entire life. As rough as it was for Terry and his family, for Ray, he got to know his dad finally and calls it the best years of his life. They became best friends, and he is so grateful for that time.
Yeah.
Back to the shoot interview, as Terry, oh my God, at the end of the shoot interview, he's apologizing to the fans. He says he's sorry about going to Japan, sorry about overdosing. Terry was going to do a show and asked his son to be his partner. Ray couldn't go. And then the next day he gets a call from Richard, who tells him to get on his knees and start praying as his dad had stopped breathing.
I know he had to have been like beating himself up for years about that.
That was his last chance.
Yep, his last chance to do something with his dad and like to be, do it together and be probably like the last time he would see him. The last time he probably saw him was when his dad asked him. So it's like it's a lot. It's sad. Sad episode. I don't like sad episodes.
Very sad. Terry is found unresponsive in his home the night after a show. They were doing CPR. Richard tried slapping Terry in the face like Doc used to do and told him to do, but he was already gone. Miranda breaks down as she says her mom screamed on the phone and had to tell her that Terry had passed. Ray talks about how he got to the house and he told the police officer he had to go past there. He had to see his dad. July 16th, 2001, Terry dies from congestive heart failure due to a blood clot at 40 years old.
He was so young. Oh my God.
As soon as they said that, and then they went to Ray, and he said exactly what I was thinking. He said, I'm amazed that his dad didn't die from an overdose.
Right.
After everything the overdose did to him, and after he had
the drinking, the drugs, the pills,
the extra pills while he was in WWF after the accident. Like, I was surprised 100% that it wasn't an overdose.
Correct. So.
But going hard too long will get you a blood clot.
Catch up with you. Yep, we'll get you. Yep. And it affected his heart, and he didn't get up.
Cornette wonders if Terry would be okay with people telling his story in hopes it would save other guys. He thinks Terry would be fine with it and wouldn't care how it made him look if it helped someone else.
Yeah.
They all talk about how great Terry was. Cornette says, if you liked wrestling, Terry did it better than nearly everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
His son notes that Terry did more for this business than people realize. Miranda has taken away from wrestling how much people loved her dad, and it's helped her heal being a pro wrestler. And Mick Foley says that Terry's influence can be seen on wrestling every week, including any variation of the powerbomb. And throughout all the highlights and clips, I was like, oh, 100% Gunther watched a lot of Terry Gordy.
Yep.
There's a lot of Gunther. There's a lot of Terry Gordy in Gunther. 100%. When I was watching this, I was like,
him and what's the guy from AEW? Oh my God, he just fought Samoa Joe.
Wardlow.
Warlow, yeah. Definitely was watching them and like the whole like power bomb thing. Yes, for sure.
We close with some words from Terry talking about how great it feels to sit on top, and he says, "Don't it feel good?" This one was a rough one. This was a rough, tough one to get through. I see a lot of people like Drugs Delaney in the chat talking about how this episode was rough for him because this was one of his childhood heroes. And damn, it's just really fucked up everything that went down here. And
Yeah.
Goku says, when they mentioned Dr. Death, I immediately thought of when Luke Gallows telling a story of where Ray Gordy told Johnny Ace, fuck Dr. Death, because Dr. Death owed his mom money and never paid. Jesus Christ. Damn.
Wow.
Fuck Dr. Death. We got Goku, who also says throughout this episode, I reminded me of a quote from Al Snow from the Marty Jannetty episode. The quote was, how do you keep living when your previous life died?
Yeah, that's a good one, Goku. That is a good one. Yes.
Yeah, this one was a rough one. This was like The Wrestler, the movie.
Yeah. Which was a good movie, by the way.
Great movie. Second best wrestling movie ever.
Yes.
Terry Gordy was in the first. Iron Claw is now the first best wrestling movie ever. We got Power Driver Finisher says, I didn't watch this episode of Dark Side of the Ring, but it reminds me of that Heels episode with one of the older guys basically in this same situation. Yeah.
SP put a post on not too long ago, like what show that was canceled too early. Heels. Someone needs to pick it up. Well, it must be a Stars thing, friend, because we need to get on we need to show.
We gotta get our schedules right, because I said we got a video dropping on the Sports and Entertainment channel with our Power character tier list.
Mm-hmm.
I said we got to do a video where we just strictly talk about them canceling Ghost and the introduction of Origins. They tried to give us the good thing before the bad thing.
Yep, that part for sure. And Heels is definitely one of them things that was gone too soon. You left us on a cliffhanger at that.
It's the worst. It's like
you get 2 seasons and that's it.
It's like when Miles got kidnapped at the end of Momisha. We never knew what happened.
You're right. I forgot all about that.
He's still kidnapped to this day, now 20 years later. But yeah, sound off in the live chat. Final call for super chat donations. We appreciate y'all for showing the support for these Dark Side of the Ring reviews. Last week's episodes, for episodes 1 and 2 review, already at 1,000 views. Help us get that view count up for this episode as well, and drop the thumbs up. Comment down below. Let us know what you thought about this episode of Dark Side of the Ring. But for me and Krssi Love, let's put our thumbs in the middle for Dark Side of the Ring, Season 5, Episode 3, Terry Gordy, the final flight of the Freebird in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from both of us. Here you go. You did it. Krssi.
I find out stuff new every time we do. See?
Krssi, out of 10, what did you give the show?
I give it a 9.
Give it a 9. I'm going to give it solid 8. Solid 8 for me, only because I don't think anything was missing per se. I think they touched on everything very well.
All right, I'll give it an 8 too then.
Yeah, they could have expanded on certain other things, but I felt like they touched on everything very well. Properly. But the overwhelming sadness, as not like I think I gave the Buff episode a 9. That's a 9 because I finished the episode. I was like, oh my God, that was so great. That was just so great. Right, I finished this episode. I was like, God, I'm depressed. I don't know how to continue my day.
Yeah, it's an 8. Yeah, you're right. Okay, definitely a good 8. Yeah, they touched on everything, but it was definitely like something like, oh, I'm sad.
Yo, don't you talk about Tariq, sir. Ghost didn't get canceled because Tariq's still a bitch. It got canceled because of them damn fucking Tejadas. Fuck you. Fuck Diana. Fuck them all. All right, but Krssi Love, please let everybody know where they can follow you on social media.
Okay, so guys, you can follow me Join us for our Dark Side of the Ring review. Me and SP every week. Every other week we'll figure it out, but we'll be back next week. So drop us. See us here on the True Hell Heat page. Other than that, you see me on Fridays, which is on bodyslam.net for Know Your Role for the SmackDown review. True Hell Heat on Saturdays for our flagship show, and then we do Server Face and Hills every other Sunday with Stephanie Hype. So see you there.
See you for all of that. You will see Krssi Love then on Saturday for the flagship. You will see me tomorrow on AE Ramble, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time, reviewing AEW Dynamite with Jimmy Macaram. And check out all the great content we got on the channel right now, like our Dark Side of the Ring season 5, episodes 1 and 2 review. Check out the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, True Hill Heat 268, with myself, Miss Krssi Love, and Scott E. Wrestling, talking about last week in professional wrestling. Check out Rated Raw review yesterday, LDS, talking about this week's Monday Night Raw, and jump over to the True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment channel as we got our X-Men 97, everything you need to know before today's premiere. Thank you so much, Krssi Love. Thank you to the chat. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This has been our Dark Side of the Ring, Season 5, Episodes 3. Terry Gordy, the final flight of the Freebird. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3, signing off until next time.